Ukrainian soldiers are increasingly relying on their own creations to defend against Russian forces.
Today, Hamas carried out a massacre. They stormed through the kibbutz, killing families, including babies.
Real images from Fort McMurray, ravaged by another fire.
22 dead in this shooting in Lewiston, Maine.
A speaker has not been elected. A speaker has not been elected. A speaker has not been elected.
The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
But I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go to bed.
What?
Hello everyone, it's been a year, which means it's time for my year in review video. First, I got to start with my travels and give a general review of them. If you see my Instagram posts, you got a glimpse of the experience, but you didn't get my tips and reflections, so I will give them to you all right now. I started off 2023 by traveling to San Antonio for a few days during spring break, visiting the Alamo, Missions, and Riverwalk. It was all in all a nice trip and a great start to the year. I will now give my San Antonio tips. 1. The Alamo is a must-see, and the guide description inside is super good and makes you feel like you're fighting against the Mexican army in 1836. Well, trying at least, because it was a total disaster where the Texian army totally got eviscerated. But the descriptions are really good, so you go visit the Alamo. Number 2, all the missions are quite different and have their own unique stories to tell. So I recommend visiting them all and doing a tour to save yourself from driving through the crazy or urban traffic or walking endlessly, and also simultaneously get a history lesson so that the missions are not just limestone but actual historical things that you can learn about, and through those learn a lot about San Antonio and the history there. 3, if you do anything in San Antonio, like if you're just driving by and you're stopping and you're like, what should I do? Go do the Riverwalk. Go on a boat tour, eat at one of the restaurants, or just walk around. It's a very nice area, and it's not just in downtown. It's all over. But like the restaurants and the general like Riverwalk vibe are in downtown. But there's a Riverwalk where it's just the river, and then there's a dam there, all outside of downtown, and are quite nice if you want more of a relaxing vibe rather than a hectic kind of party vibe. Number 4, while you're at the Riverwalk, skip La Velita and head to Market Square, which is, by the way, not at the Riverwalk. It's a little bit out, but head to Market Square instead if you want the Tex-Mex experience. Because there's more stuff there and much more going on, and you'll probably just enjoy it way more. So I'm just gonna save you a lot of time. And finally, do not stay more than 1.5 days unless you're doing day trips. The Institute of Texan Cultures, not really that interesting. The primary sites are cool. The secondary sites I'd recommend you just avoid because they're not worth your time. If you're doing day trips to like Fredericksburg, which I didn't go to, or the caves or anything, okay. But or Austin, but other than that, just do 1.5 days and then you're on your way. So that was my San Antonio trip, which is more of an appetizer, let's be honest. Now on to the big trip. I went on the school trip to Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, and technically Liechtenstein, but not really, because all we did was do a pit stop there, and I actually went to the souvenir shop at like the rest station and pay like €5 for the stamp in your passport, not an actual one, but like a souvenir one. But it's still quite a nice souvenir even though I technically didn't really visit Liechtenstein, other than like see it from the bus. But other than that, no, I did not visit it. Going without my parents for the first time instead going with friends was also a new enjoyable experience. And thankfully there were not many limitations by the adults on the tour, which I guess we're high schoolers, so I guess we don't need to be babied around that much. Anyway, now on to my general experience and recommendations. My favorite city on the trip was Lucerne in Switzerland. It's a nice old town. It's a very nice old town on Lake Lucerne, or as the Germans call it, the Lake of the or the Swiss call it, or as it's called in Swiss German, the Lake of the Four Forest Cantons. Cantons are states. For those of you who do not know in the Swiss geography, so it has a very nice old town on Lake Lucerne in the Alps, and has great mountain fun nearby. Our group did a boat tour, and then went up to the top of Mount Rigi, a mountain overlooking Lake Lucerne, and which was probably the best part of the trip. Some other nice memories were doing the night watchman tour in Rothenburg. Stay overnight in Rothenburg. Don't just day trip in, and so stay overnight and do the night watchman tour. Great historical information, and the tour guide's kind of funny, and it's only 5 to 10 euros anyway. And you get to see Rothenburg at night and a lot of cool parts of town that you otherwise wouldn't really get to see. Also, there was the main square in Munich, the Marienplatz, Mary Square, and the Victualian Market, the main market in Munich, which had like the best fruit ever. Granted, all of the markets in Germany had amazing fruit. Like we went during strawberry season. The strawberries were out of this world, and it was just amazing to try strawberries that do not have the white, disgusting thing that you find in most American supermarkets. Freiburg was a good market. I've heard Salzburg was good, but I didn't get to that one. That's with the food. Also, one of the more interesting foods I tried was cheesecake, like cheesecake, Bavarian cheesecake made with like some low-fat cheese that our guides actually said bodybuilders would eat the cheese because it's so protein heavy, but screw the crust. But I would recommend just eating the crust as well. It's quite interesting. It's quite different from your standard New York cheesecake that you get in the States. The New York cheesecake is still better. I'll tell you that right now. But do try it. It's still quite a good thing to have when you're in Germany or in Bavaria especially. Speaking of Bavaria is not just Munich and Rothenburg. There's Neuschwanstein Castle, probably the most famous site in Bavaria. That is super cool to see. And even if you don't go to don't get to go to inside the Neuschwanstein Castle or Ludwig II's dad's castle, Hohenschwangau, it still has very good views of the surrounding mountains. So please take the time to do it. I will warn you right now that the hike to the top is a steep hike. It's paved, which makes it easier, but it is a steep hike, so be ready for that. It's on a mountain. He literally wanted the view, so he forced everyone to hike. True story. I also, right after that, we visited the Chocolate Museum in Switzerland, which was quite nice. Lindt chocolate. Yes, the Lindt chocolate you get at your local store. It was a very educational experience on the history of chocolate in general and in Switzerland more specifically. And you also get unlimited samples of chocolate there. Chocolate bars and liquid chocolate. So, enjoy. Now I'm going to go to the tips, and because that was my experience. So, number 1, go to Rothenburg in the evening if you want it to be calm and not like the Renaissance Fair, because during the day it's the Renaissance Fair. And the architecture looks so much better at night, and it's so much calmer. It's just so much better at night. And also visit the Crime and Punishment Museum when you're in Rothenburg. Number 2, I would actually prefer Heidelberg if you want that small German picture-perfect half-timbered houses. I would actually prefer Heidelberg. It's, in my opinion, a nicer town. Number 3, skip the BMW World in Munich. It's not worth going to. The museum is cool if you like cars, but the World is literally your local BMW dealership. You can have that here. You don't need to pay big time bucks and travel halfway across the world. Number 4, don't overlook the cities of Switzerland. Switzerland's famous for its mountains and villages, but the cities are quite nice. Lucerne is great. I don't know about Geneva, Lausanne, Zurich, and Bern, but Lucerne is surprisingly awesome, and you should not be avoiding Swiss cities. Number 4, Salzburg, meh. Not really that awesome. Visit the Mozart and Sound of Music sites and the cathedral if you're into that stuff, and spend most of your time in the salt mines and Salzkammergut Lake District around the city. Number 5, do the Rhine River stuff before the Alps, because the hills of the Rhine River, the Rhine Gorge, are gonna be so much better for you if you do it coming right from the flat lands of the Midwest rather than from the Alps. The Alps make everything seem mess, so I'm just telling you that right now. The Alps should be the culmination, not the middle of your experience. And finally, number 6, make sure you visit Dachau concentration camp here in Munich. It's a very powerful experience. It will give you a lot of insight into the Holocaust and how horrible everything was. So, and into the mania, into the process, into everything that you ever needed to know about the Holocaust. So that trip was a big highlight for me this year, and I hope that you visit these places on your own and agree that this is just as awesome as I am describing it to you. But now I'm going to tell you that traveling in your home area is also just as amazing. Well, not just as amazing, but pretty amazing. I showed you the Home Alone tour and the Leaning Tower in Niles and the Baha'i Temple and the Chicago Christmas Market. We all dream of Germany but neglect Chicagoland. Don't do that. So those are my 2023 travels, and my 2024 travels will hopefully be just as good.
Durch des Himmels prächtigen Land lauf